You have a problem with oil loss on your Subaru engine? Let me show you where it's coming from.
Widdly bum 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 ba boom.
Newer model Subarus, you'll find them in Foresters, Imprezas, and they just continually have oil leak issues, or oil consumption issues. Run into, like on the later ones, like this particular vehicle we're going to look at today, you'll get these variable valve timing codes, and a lot of them can be due sometimes to low oil pressure. So let me show you what a large culprit of this is, if I can talk. So check this out. Today's vehicle is a 2007 Subaru Forester. This has the typical 2.5 liter non-turbo engine. And higher mileage engines, these guys will leak. Let's see if I can get a better angle here. Oh yeah. So as we can see, right where the head meets the engine block, that's where you're starting to get your pretty heavy amount of oil leakage. You can even see you've got some oil kind of almost pooled up here on that one corner. But this is extremely typical on these engines. You may have been alerted to this by getting a check engine light. Very common check engine light is to find either a P0026, P0028, and there's several others. They're going to point to the OSV valve, OSV solenoid valve on the right and the left having a malfunction. Part of the variable valve timing system uses a pressure sensor that is located on each cylinder head. The computer uses this data to determine whether or not the variable valve timing is functional. Very common, you will find these sensors to be leaking. This is a very inexpensive sensor, and it's usually recommended to replace these whenever you get any type of code like that. So what are your options? Obviously it kind of depends on the situation, how severe the leak is, what kind of service the vehicle does, and obviously your budget. From a mechanic standpoint, you always, there's only one way you can fix it correctly, and that's going to be to recommend the head job. From a customer standpoint, if the vehicle isn't leaking that bad where it's not, incredibly, just losing tons of oil at once, as long as they do an adequate job of keeping the oil level up, you really shouldn't have an issue. Just adding oil until you can fix it correctly. Probably going to smell some oil burning on your exhaust, since your exhaust manifolds are very close to the area that the oil is dripping from. Go to the parts store. They're going to offer some things like these oil stop leaks and things of that nature, but I mean, really, if you look at the way that the Subaru engine's designed, it's really just going to come down to the fact that head gasket is a MLS style, which stands for multi-layer steel. So right off the bat, we got a couple layers of metal that are just sandwiched together, and it actually does a really good job of stopping compression. It's a different story when it comes to sealing oil and coolant sometimes. Really, you've got a metal type head gasket that's got oil pooled up against it all the time, being a horizontal motor. So there's really no way that you can put like a stop leak in there or smear some goob across it or anything like that that's going to fix that situation. You're really going to be in a situation where you need to replace the head gasket itself. The main thing is that people these days get used to looking at this little goofy sticker that you put up on the windshield and say, oh, I have so many miles left from my oil change. But I mean, really, every time you put fuel in your car, you should be popping the hood and checking your oil just to check on the oil level, because you never know if you're going to get something that's going to spring a leak that wasn't leaking before, increase in oil consumption because something happened in your motor. You know, all kinds of things. Or, you know, like this, you know, we've got a very slow leak that's just slowly dripping, and eventually gets to the point where the oil gets so low it starts cavitating, you know, getting all foamy inside the oil pan, and you can't make good oil pressure using foamy oil. So, you know, as long as you can keep your oil at an adequate level, you know, it's probably going to be okay.